she's at school. She wants to keep training. She did the right thing. She didn't go to the Aikido club. That's going to suck. And she went to the BJJ club. That is good. That's the way to play it, okay? But, you know, she's all, yes, I don't know what to do from side control, but she's been trained in it. But it's not in your memory, you see that? And a lot of you are experiencing that. You're trying to do Jiu-jitsu, and you got nothing to work with, okay? So, before you get into the deep, deep psychology of the unfettered mind, you got to have the reps, and they have to be at depth. It is not possible, nor wanted, to gain the unfettered mind without you passing fully through a form phase. And that means you can do the forms with the best of them, okay? And that means that you remember them. Do you understand? Okay? So she asked for some review, so we're going to use this opportunity because I know you guys do not remember them, and I know some of you haven't seen it, some of the newer people, okay? So remember, it's always about attacking from a position of advantage, and that will always mean to gain control, and then you would do your attack. You can think of it as act. Gain advantage, seek control, then the transaction. The transaction is the lock or the submission or whatever. Trying to just go for the submission before you have control or before you have advantage is going to give them the opening they need to do the act strategy against you. Got it? Okay. So, to touch base again, Ishida, you would follow the maxim of position before submission. That's act as well, okay? So when you have side control, just the basics again, you want to be low on the guy without crossing the point of no return, which is you have more weight or too much weight across his spine such that you are easily turned over. And now he has you. Second thing, very common beginner mistake is you have your butt in the air because you have your weight on your knees instead of on the guy. So your weight should be on him. So you're going to have to open your knees to lower your butt. Third, no space. Any space you create, he can move into that space. It's empty space, it's yin space. He would be following Jiu-jitsu principles by moving into the yin space. So I don't give him yin space so he doesn't move into it, okay? So that would be, okay, I'm not across the center line. My weight is on him, but all this space here gives him room to move. So tight near him. Next detail. A lot of his escapes require that this hip be able to move. Like for example, he wants to do elbow knee escape here. If he has space here at this hip, he can get this knee in, and now he got out of side control. So, one way is no space, have that knee there so he can't get in there. Since we're doing gi, another way is that you can grab the gi around his buttocks area and you can take that knee away and your arm is kind of, go ahead and try it again. Your arm is duplicating that same block. If there's no gi and you want your knee to do something else, you can block it here by posting your hand, and he'll try it again, and you're just keeping that hand there, posting on the mat, okay? So, key in terms of no space, pay attention to the no space here. at the hip. Got it? Okay, so let's see you just play with those basics with your partner, and then we'll keep adding on to refresh Ishida's memory. Go. All right, so Ishida's question was, I can't get to mount. Well, again, there is a difference between learning things in Kihon, which we call here administrative, and then trying to do things in live environments, okay? So if you think about your technique, your Kihon, as a bunch of way stations, it's made up like the technique is you got to do that, then you got to get to there, and then you got to get to there, and you got to get to there. Do you see that? But the guy administratively is not preoccupying the distance between those two way stations. So it's kind of like you're in Star Trek and you beam in here, and then you beam in here, and then you beam in here. And that's not Jiu. In Jiu, it's like you're on a pilgrimage and you go from this station and you got to walk to this station, and it's actually the walking part that is the religious rite, okay? So it's all this stuff in between that allows you to get to the next way station that counts, all right? So, as I advised you, Ishida, you can't just go for the mount, because you're going to have to create space to move out of side control, and that's going to create yin space, and then he's going to use that to create openings, maneuvers, counters, attacks of his own. So what you have to do is you have two choices. You get him to move, got it? Or you wait for him to move. But if he's skilled, he's going to wait for me to move, okay? So you have to know how to do both, got it? In terms of getting him to move, there's really two ways. And again, you want to combine these two ways. So one way is to preoccupy him with an attack. So he has to defend the attack, and then he has to move, okay? The other way is to make him uncomfortable where he is with pressure. Then he wants to move to relieve the pressure, okay? In terms of the first one, the best preoccupying attack is striking. If you have a weapon, it's pulling the weapon. It's going to preoccupy him, okay? But probably in a BJJ club, there's no striking. There's definitely no weapons, okay? So we'll go over some basic attacks. At the beginner level, you want to know how to attack the arms and the neck area, because you're here controlling this area, okay? So we're going to give her one of each. And for those that know the Americana or the figure 4, we're going to reintroduce the details, which she does not have because she forgot the technique on top of everything, okay? All right, so again, the figure 4 is this one, the Americana, right? You're here like that. The way that we do this here, and there's all these little tweaks and things that work, okay? Learn them all, but our basic is the following. It's really a 3-point attack that you go through, okay? So first for the people, you have seen this technique, right? The figure 4? Okay, so we're just gonna go on. You've seen it? All right, so we have one new person here. Okay, so we'll just learn the basic first. We're just gonna push it down, put my elbow on the ground near his neck. Thumbless grips, that means my thumb is on the same side as my fingers, okay? Come underneath his arm, grab my own wrist, keep his hand pressing into the mat, bring his arm towards his hip, and lift his elbow to do the technique, okay? I'll do it again. We're just going to push it down, put my elbow on the mat near his neck, no space, come underneath, thumbless grips on both hands, and lift his elbow, press his hand into the mat, bring his whole arm towards his hip, okay? here we go. Let's get some reps on that, and then we'll get to the details. Go. Okay. So, and the way that we're going to do it is we're going to attack the outside of the ball and socket joint, or the ball and socket joint itself. Then we're going to attack the shoulder mechanism itself, and then we're going to attack the elbow. Okay? So the way you attack the ball and socket joint is to pull this thing in, to tighten this thing like that. Okay? So I'm going to go here, and the first thing I do is crank this thing towards him. A lot of people will tap out there. A lot of people. And then you don't need this mad arm strength, okay? You're just bringing it into your body, all right? So I have to reduce that a little bit, or a lot, to get to where I would take it next, okay? So from the ball and socket joint attack, I'm now going to attack the shoulder mechanism, the scapula mechanism itself, okay? So I'm not going to pull it in so tight. And this is kind of the standard Americana. So pressing down, lifting the elbow, and sliding the whole arm mechanism down towards the hip. You got it? Okay, so first I'm pulling it in, and then that's what goes into the shoulder mechanism. And then before I get to his hip, I'm going to attack his elbow. All right? So I'm going to, again, loosen up the first ball and socket attack, loosen up the shoulder mechanism attack, and I'm going to get to the elbow, okay? So it's loose. I'm not in tight on his neck. And at that point, his hand doesn't keep traveling. I just twist his arm. I twist this forearm. Do you see that? Okay. So when I get to all three, there's not much movement that is required. You see that? It's about a 1/2 inch of movement, which means I have a better chance of getting that against somebody as opposed to moving his arm all this way. That's a lot of room and a lot of space and a lot of time, okay? Once you understand this, you can see there's the other one. Do you see? It's right here. So you're struggling, you're like struggling. You can't get it. You can't just quit. You're gonna get it right here. The first one. Do you see how I'm doing that? I just brought it in. Okay. So for you to understand that first part, which is the tricky part, that's what we're gonna do. Okay. So this arm is here. This arm is here. So palm up on the wrist, palm down here, and you just bring it in towards him. Okay, let's get that in, and then we'll do the whole thing together. That first part's the tricky part. Without that, in my opinion, the arm often gets loose and he moves around and stuff. Okay, let's try it. Ready? Is your arm okay? Let me give Tristan some reps. Okay, so I'm here. Boom, pushing it down, bringing it in first. And if that's not working, then I start going towards the hip. And if that's not working, I leave the hand still and I start to lift the elbow. Okay? That was just to demonstrate the 3 moves. Okay? It should be, when I'm here like this, nobody should see the technique coming on. Do you get that? That if you can train administratively, you're here like that, then you have a chance when they're live. Okay? So shoot for that and do not accept this kind of stuff. That won't work when they're live. Okay? Let's try it. Next one we'll go over. So basic arm attack. Attack the arm, right? So for example, I'm coming around and I'm attacking his arm and he wants to do something, right? Because you know what's coming, so get out of it. What do? See? He's gonna do something else. Do you get it? So You know, for example, a guard pass where you push and you go over, and if you pay attention what he did in his escape, he put his arm out, and now I'm over. Not into the mount, because he's not using his legs to defend against the mount. You see? He took him out of the way as he was going around, okay? Attack the neck. Okay, so a very simple one is this one. Just get your thumb inside, okay? Especially when you start to see, for example, I came over, I go to attack the arm, and he moved it around, you see, and now it's on the other side. See that? And so now his neck is vulnerable. Well, I'm gonna come in. Put your thumb inside. A lot of people will tap here. This one you're gonna attack that trachea, okay? But some people don't. So first attack the trachea like a paper cutter. Seen those things? Okay? I'm here. Paper cutter. If some people don't, bring your elbow this way. And they're gonna tap out. Okay? So again, he had his frame because a lot of people are trained that way. So I'm going, boom, he goes to escape. Good. Isolate the arm. I'm using my head and using my gi, so try to pull your arm out. So again, following the rule of no space, the arm has been isolated and now the neck is vulnerable. Put your thumb in, grab the gi, over, start the paper cutter, and if it's not working, bring your elbow up, okay? Let's try this. Okay, so I'm gonna ask you a question. Where did the opening for the neck come from? Him trying to protect himself. Do you see that? It's not that I'm here and I start going like that. It's not gonna happen. Do you understand? So if I want the collar, if I want the neck attack, what did I do? What gave the opening? Yes. He protected himself, but I'm going to show you that's not exactly it. So I go, he protects himself, and then I go here. No, that didn't work. You see? What did I do when he protected himself? I isolated the neck, okay? So this arm, his frame, you can look at it as I'm trying to deconstruct his frame, okay? It's no different than we're here. He's got a frame, you see? And I just disrupted it with that first, instead of trying to attack here, I attack here. And he's open now, okay? Same way, I could over here, whoop up. That made him move, but this time I'm doing it with an attack, okay? Not a fake or a feint. If he doesn't defend the Americana, what will I do? The Americana, okay? So I'm trying for it. He goes, oh, thank you. Okay? Again, some of you have this like this. He's going to get around my head. Correct? You see? And I can't get it. So it's very important, not so much this part as this part. So try to come around my head. It's this part that counts. So once you are starting, he goes around, boom, drop your head. Drop your head, okay? On this one, now his neck is isolated again. I'm gonna come this way, on this side. Do you see that? And put the 4 fingers in, like almost like a fist choke, okay? One reason you might do that is it's this side that's open, this gi side is closed. Who knows why? You just want options. So boom, I come around on this side, 4 fingers in, and then I'm going to do this inversely. So drop my elbow down on that side, and if you didn't tap there, that's where I roll this up. Okay, so can you see that? attack, he defends, trap, boom. I come this side, 4 fingers in, around. One thing you can do too here is use the other arm and pull it even tighter and do the same maneuver. Okay? Let's try it. Your moves are hidden in other moves is a way to understand what we're doing. If you do the obvious, they can defend against it, okay? So remember the 3 pillars of combat is ambush / surprise is one of them. Speed, violence of action. You got it? So when a lot of you were doing this, so Ishida might do it too, is you're trying to get this in place. Do you see that? And you're never gonna get that in place. You can tell, oh, you're gonna attack my neck, okay? So instead, it just kind of innocently comes around here, not even doing anything. Not till you get everything in place, you can see that he's just doing whatever, that's when you come around and pop that thing in. So you don't reach for that position from the final position. You come around where it's obscure, where he doesn't feel anything, and you get your fingers in there. It's not a fist choke. I said it's like a fist choke, which means it's not a fist choke. So don't start pushing in on this side. This side has nothing to do with it. You're coming around. You could even, you want to really hide it, okay? And you come around and it's like this. Do you see? And you wait and pop, and then you rip it around, okay? Hide your attack. So, okay, so again to recap so that you understand the strategy, not just the moves, okay? Remember, the moves are those kind of way station kind of points. You need all this in between stuff, okay? Remember, we're playing a game here, so we took out strikes and we took out weapons. Okay? Those are by far the best things for making this guy move and create openings. Do you understand? So, like the way that we do it, right? I'll kind of hang out, and he's gonna do something because everyone always does something, right? So he'll do whatever, right? And I start working my arm isolations. Do you see that? So as he did that move there, the arm that is under his left arm, it's got a lot of pressure on it. So you can try to pull your arm out. Okay, do you see that? So now all I have to do, and there I am, okay? Or let's say I want this arm isolated over here, okay? So he's here like this, and he's framing, and I'll go again, boom, 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 and there is the, okay? You see that? Or we're here, right? And this arm is trapped in here, okay? And I'm gonna take advantage of that and get to my weapon here like this. And now he can't stop me from drawing my handgun because, again, try to get the bottom arm out. You can't get the bottom arm out, and this arm cannot reach over to stop that because of how I have it out of the way. So, you see, it's not gonna get there. It's trapped here like this, and I can draw for free and fire my handgun, okay? But we're playing a game. No strikes, no weapons. Okay? So, the way you would do it, as I said, well, you get him to move. But he might be skilled. And he's all like, no, you move first. You're not doing anything to me. I'm fine here. Do you see that? Okay, so I go to move, like I'm gonna go to mount, and you defend the mount. Oh, he got it in, and so he keeps working it, and oh crap. So it's always better to use these strategies. Make him want to move, so to speak. And one way of making him want to move, for somebody who's not moving but is waiting for me to do that, is attack. Okay? Then he has to move, he has to defend the attack. The second way I mentioned is pressure. It makes him uncomfortable. Do you see that? And pressure, though, is a lot of size dependent and a lot of strength dependent. So if you're much smaller than that person, if you have a good pressure game, you can still generate some pressure, but if you measure that relative to somebody who's heavier than their partner, their opponent, and you would rate it like a pain scale, you see, you would give them, that's a 10, and then the other lighter person with good technique, they'll go like, it's like a 4, okay? It is still important to know pressure because you're doing pressure in all your attacks anyways, okay? But the kind of pressure, it won't ever be, if you're lighter and weaker, it won't ever be the pressure that will do this generating, they want to get out of this, is not comfortable. Do you understand? Okay. So try to work somebody around your size. You can be smaller than them, you just can't be a lot smaller than them, okay? And then also remember that even if you are bigger, pressure does involve more strength output than non-pressure. It just does, okay? So you would always have to measure your reserves on how you're going along through whatever match you're doing, okay? So if I am tasking myself with mounting and using pressure to open the mount, I want to create pressure in that when he wants to move, he either bridges or tries to turn away from me. Then that opens the mount. Do you understand? So I already showed you when he turned away, then his legs are not defending by keeping my mount out, okay? And then when he bridges, it's when, so he would bridge, do you see? And I'm gonna get really, really tight on here, and I'm waiting for him to go back down. Do you see that? So as he goes back down, that's when I am on. I got kind of timed that thing, okay? So let's first look at how to create pressure. I'll give you several techniques to do this, all right? So again, we'll go into administrative mode, right? And the first one we're going to do from side control is come around, lift up, go high, and come around this way, okay? So I want to get, instead of being here, I'm going to put things under him. Put those things under him, and then I'm going to use those things to press into him on the top, okay? So here, roll, come up. You can do it this way. You can get this other arm in there. And now what I'm going to do is start to put my back into the, watch my back. Okay, so I'm not resting anymore. I'm going to use my back, and after my back goes, I'm going to use my arms. And then I'm going to roll him onto this even more. So I go my back, then my arms, and then my posture. See how I did that? Okay, so that's our first one. Us here, boom, roll him to you, put it underneath him, come underneath that. Go back, boom, go arms, and then put him on top of it. Okay, let's try that. Yeah, okay. Okay, so again, a review. The principle is put things under him. Engage your back. Then the thing that's under him, pull it towards you, and then put him over it more. Okay? So, and again, he's much smaller than me, so if it's too much, you just say tap, tap, or tap, okay? But I'm going to just show it technically, okay? So I'm going to come around. Again, no space like normal side control. I'm gonna roll him up so I can put my arm under him. And he had no space here, okay? And then I use the other arm to put the other arm underneath, you see? Then my back, you see? Then my arms, do you feel it, Tristan? And then I roll this over. Okay, got it? I want you to do it slow like that because different people have different sternums and rib cages and things like that, okay? Let's go. So we're gonna increase the pressure, and also it's good to know how to increase pressure from different positions, okay? So, I came around, I came under him. This time, I'm gonna use that arm to get under on this side, you see? Okay, so I'm on this side, and I'm gonna do the same thing. So my back, keep your head down, my back first, pulling him into me, and then putting him on those hands, okay? Another way you could do this one too. Again, the common rule is get things underneath him, put your back into it, pull him into you, and make sure he stays on top of it. So I'm underneath, right? I can go underneath this way too, you see? And then my back, boom, and then put him into it. Try your back. Okay? Go. Try. Okay, so next one. I like doing the first ones. Like maybe I'm going for this thing, right? And I don't know what, I lose my grip, so look, I'm in here. Do you see? Oh, I'm in here, okay? And I want to increase the pressure now, so I'm gonna take the bottom arm again, and I'm gonna have it be flat, where I'm gonna pick him up, and then move him forward. Okay, now it's under his respiratory meridian, okay? And I do the same thing. My back, bring him into me, and keep him on me. And we're gonna go to the next one. I'm gonna drive my hip into those floating ribs, into that arm that's on the back side of his respiratory meridian. So, here, okay? Next thing I do, pick him up, move him around. So you come on the other side over here. You see where my hand is? Okay. And when I'm there, I'm going to use my hip to drive his floating ribs into that arm underneath him. You have to do this slow. Some people's ribs might break. Okay? So I'm doing it slow. I'm going to keep the hip light to show you what I do with his upper body as I do this thing, okay? So it's a matter of driving the left hip into the floating ribs, and as I go, I'm picking him up, okay? So I'll do it slow, and you try to not have so increased pressure on the hip. Well, again, do it slow like that so nobody's ribs crack. Okay? Let's go. Right. All right. So I'm trying my thing. He does his whatever, and there it is right there. Do you see how that happened? Okay, and I can just cut to that one. So again, it's a combination of the two moves, right? So here, and I'm gonna I can maybe even try, look, there's the first one, okay? So when you feel that happening, yes, there it is, you see? Then I'm in place, okay? And I'm in place, get everything where I want it to be. I have the pressure gain, pull over, okay? And the way that I use this is because of the strength cost, I only look for him to not be breathing where he's comfortable. So pressure to me is I'm attacking his respiratory system. So he's breathing too comfortably right now. So I work my back,
And that's where I'm at. And when he wants to breathe, because everyone wants to breathe, right? That is what I float at, right? So I can feel his diaphragm moving. So I'm going to start doing more pressure. Okay? And here, I'm here, and I could get the tap, but to me it's too much strength, right? So when he starts countering, try to breathe, dude. Get yourself out. Do you see it? I give him that space. What'd he do? He bridged. Do you see he bridged, right? Because he can't do, for example, he can't do elbow knee go. He can't do it because I'm controlling the torso. He can't shrimp. So he's bridging. So I make him bridge, and you're in. Okay? Meaning, don't blow yourself out. You're using it to set up what you needed for the mount. Okay? So, Yoshida, you're tasked with the mount because you get more points from going from side control to mount. For us here, we're interested in the strategy, but we do different tactics to utilize the strategy. Okay? All right? Okay. Thank you, everyone.